First of all, I just want to start off with a quick sort of analogy or two. Anyone here got nomophobia? Huh? Fear of nomophobia. It's apparently 1 in 4 adults has nomophobia. It causes dizziness, anxiety, high blood pressure, panic attacks even. It stands for no mobile phone phobia, apparently. Does anyone know currently what their battery percentage is, roughly, on their phone? Anyone ever sort of dial down their usage because they're worried about running out of battery? Maybe turn off Wi-Fi first, and you turn off Bluetooth, and you stop browsing the internet because you're getting close to the end of the day to these long conferences. Now imagine we gave our retirees a mobile phone, and that was your battery you had to live off for the rest of your life. How would you use your phone? Would you be streaming Netflix? Would you be playing a lot of games? And you should sort of, if 1 in 4 of us are concerned about just something as simple as our mobile phones, obviously elevate that to the fear of running out, running out of money in retirement. And so there's a couple of approaches you have to addressing that fear of running out. Now this middle picture here, I'm very proud of this. I think this might be a world record. I just took this picture about 2 weeks ago. I coasted in. Anyone Costco member? You know that Costco's got the cheapest petrol going around. And I coasted in, spluttering my vehicle across the car park and filled up more than 75 litres, and my tank is only 75 litres. So I officially had run out. And ideally that's what retirees would do, besides bequests. Retirees would spend the last dollar on the day they die. I think we've probably often heard that ideal. It's obviously very difficult to achieve in real life. And so what actually happens far too often is this picture on the right here. What's wrong with that picture? The tap's too high. I mean, you've got a water tank with a tap at the top. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And yet that's how people treat their account-based pensions. They're just living off the overflow, living off the earnings, preserving the capital for, ironically, a rainy day, and passing on much more than they anticipated to the kids. Sometimes that's absolutely their intention, but the research very clearly tells us that that is generally not their intention. Their intention is to use their superannuation. I'm focusing more on superannuation, but it is generally their intention to use superannuation for their retirement, and yet they're treating it as a water tank with a tap at the top. Because we haven't given them the confidence to draw it down. And for all the reasons I want to just run through, uncertain longevity, uncertain economic circumstances, it's quite a terrifying prospect. They really don't want to run out of juice. AMP's recently done some research on intergenerational wealth transfer. You might have seen some stuff in the papers or in the news. So it was interesting. We didn't create these headlines, but that's how the papers framed it. Obviously, there's a lot of boomer bashing going on in the articles, and effectively it was sort of the retirees are being pulled in two different directions here. They recognise, and it was actually quite surprising to me, they're actually thinking, most of them are thinking that their kids have it worse or at least no better than they themselves. Sort of breaking a bit of a stereotype that we have that we all think that kids these days have it too easy. That's actually not what the research is telling us, but they actually think that the kids are doing it tougher. They're hard to get into the property market in particular, more difficult economic circumstances. So they'd love to help the kids, but they're not going to because they've got a fear of running out. And so they're not willing to make sacrifices generally. They do make a few sacrifices. They let the kids stay home a lot longer or move back in. But they're generally not willing to fork out cash because they have accumulated that wealth and unfortunately they're hoarding it, not because they're greedy. The kids are actually going to get it eventually, but they simply don't want to run out. And a retiree once put it to me quite eloquently. He said, look, this fear of running out, if you boil it down, I don't want to be a burden on my own children. I don't want to have to go cap in hand to my own kids for my living expenses. That loss of, they're already afraid of loss of dignity, physically, but then financially as well is would be quite a concern. So, as Kylie mentioned, the governments, successive governments, in fact, both flavours have been supporting or attempting to support better retirement outcomes through this retirement income framework. It started in 2017 with a new category in the CIS regs that they call it the Innovative Retirement Income Stream category, IRIS. Treasury wonks didn't realise we already have an IRIS in the industry. And so that created this new pension category that doesn't have to follow the same rules as existing pensions. So doesn't have to have flat, sort of level income, predictable income like an annuity, and doesn't have the minimum drawdown rules associated with an account-based pension. So this new sort of hybrid category pays income for life but can be variable. That was supported in 2019 by the concessional assets and income tests. And then we've had the retirement income covenant, which is designed to be a kick up the pants of super funds to get them to do better and supporting retirees to actually spend that super. And so we are starting to see new solutions come to market, which is why I'm here. I'll talk to you a little bit about My North Lifetime. It won't be a big spiel, but I'll just give you some examples. And it really is this new hybrid. It fills this hybrid sort of gap in the market. So on the North platform, as you'd expect, we've got our investments, we've got super, TTRs and account-based pensions. And we've added 3 new account types. We've got a swear jar going at work. We're not allowed to call it a product. These are just solutions that sit on the platform, just like your just normal super accounts and account-based pensions. These are just other account types that just give different strategies, but they have access to the entire investment menu, including managed accounts, of course. So we have a lifetime income account for retirees, a lifetime super account for accumulators, and a deferred lifetime income account for the transition piece. But I think for the first time, certainly the first time I'm aware of, is complete open architecture here. They're not products you purchase, simply account types, and you can fill them with whatever investments suit your client's needs. So they can be tailored for your conservative clients, your aggressive clients, everything in between, and of course can be changed over time to suit changing circumstances as circumstances require. And of course, for example, if you're an existing North client, you can just keep the existing assets. So you think about all the tax advantages you get from managed portfolios. At no point through this whole journey do you actually need to change the assets. So you can have the same assets in accumulation, perhaps even the ones pre-existing before you even open these solutions, keep them all the way through, transition them to retirement, still the same portfolios, but you're getting the benefits of a lifetime income stream. I won't go into the mechanics of how you can have full investment choice, and yet there's a lifetime income stream rather than just a really quick summary of that, and that's because we have a partnership with TAL. So an insurer pays a bonus, an annual bonus into the account every year. Effectively, going back to the mobile phone analogy, imagine you just had a guarantee the phone would never drop below 50%. It's always just getting topped up, getting a recharge. You'd use your phone a lot more freely if you just knew it could never run out. If you're always getting that top up, and thank you, Ivan, for that analogy, who's in my team. And we talked about asset classes, right, and the different returns. There's one asset class which is reliable, predictable, in fact, throughout any economic cycle, and that's mortality credits. And mortality credits are worth 2 to 3% on average. It, of course, increases the value of mortality credits that you get through these longevity-type solutions. The value sort of increases the older you get, but on average over retirement, you can be banking on 2 or 3%. We've made it quite explicit on My North Lifetime. We actually pay that. You see that credit paid into the account on an annual basis. In an annuity, of course, you have those credits already there, but they're embedded behind the scenes. You don't see them. They're not a transaction. We've just deconstructed an annuity, let you do what you do best and manage the portfolio, but still made sure that the account can never run out and will simply pay high income for life. And it's really interesting when you know the income will never run out. Let's maybe go back to the water tank analogy. You can spend. You can turn the tap on a lot more. So our average client in lifetime is spending 50% more. So the 4% rule is a really interesting one, right? Going back even longer than the period that William Bengen looked at, 115 years, 112 of those years, there was more left in the portfolio by following the 4% rule after 30 years. So following the 4% rule is just a really expensive form of self-insurance, because in very, very small number of cases, you'll deplete the portfolio. In half the cases, it'll be 3 times higher following that rule. So the rates on Monmouth Lifetime, they start with a 7, 7.1 for a 60-year-old, and the rates are, get high depending on how old you are. So these sorts of solutions can allow your clients to spend much more confidently at a higher level, because they're confident it'll never run out. And that assistance from the insurer effectively makes sure that that'll never happen. They will never run out. I won't go through all the detail here, but there's some really substantial means testing concessions on these, and effectively the earlier you get in, the better, which is why we've introduced a lifetime super account. I won't go through a full explanation other than to say, first of all, in the asset test, it's 60% of the purchase amount, not the balance. So the purchase amount is the contributions that you put into these solutions, and if you open it before retirement, you can have a balance this big and a purchase amount, a calculated deemed purchase amount, which is a fair bit lower. And then the income test is 6% of the actual income. These solutions allow you to defer the income, reduce the income. They're not deemed. They don't use the deeming rate, and so you can use these for great effect for both your asset sensitive and your income sensitive clients. I'll bring that to life with in a couple of slides with some case studies, but happy to answer questions sort of maybe in a Q&A or perhaps afterwards if you want to really unpack that some more. Effectively, there's 6 Centrelink strategies, 6 new strategies available, on 3 each on both the asset test and the income test. There's so much more flexibility that you have now. Previously, you had $1 million in an account-based pension or super. That's $1 million on the asset test and $1 million times the deeming rate on the income test, right? There's no way around that. But quite literally, you could have $1 million in one of these new IRA solutions with 0 asset test and or 0 income test. So you think about how much wider the range of clients you have that can have access to Centrelink with those sorts of strategies. Here's just one strategy. Here's one simple example just to bring it to life for you. This is an example of our lifetime super. So it just acts like a normal super account. There's no lock-in. There's no penalties. It's very, very simple. Your clients won't notice the difference, except at retirement, the asset test will be substantially different. So here's someone at age 55. They put in $575. They contribute their 20 grand SG every year. That's the balance with 7.5% investment earnings. The purchase amount, though, is $575 plus $20,000 annually, but it ignores the investment earnings and instead uses the deeming rate. Currently, it's 2.25%. So you have a purchase amount which is growing at a lesser amount than the actual balance. And then the asset test, as you remember a couple of slides ago, 60% of the purchase amount. So you have an asset test down here. So you just have these widening discounts, starts off at 40%, 50%, 60%, and so on, as you progress. That's not the only trick, because you don't want all your money in a lifetime income solution at retirement. There's some capital restrictions that come into effect in retirement. And at North, we're seeing the average is 50-50. So at retirement, they're putting 50% on average in a lifetime IRA solution and 50% in the account-based pension. But what happens when we take that 50% out of here is that it's a commutation, which has a really interesting effect on the purchase amount. So these are the results beforehand. Sorry, I'm moving pretty fast here, but this is a summary of what you'd have before you do that commutation. You have an account balance of $1.5 million, a purchase amount, this deemed amount of $960, and therefore 60% of that, asset test of $580. Now we take half out and put it in account-based pension. So we've got $750 in each bucket. The purchase amount was $960, so pay attention. It falls dollar for dollar by that full commutation of $750. So we now have finally we multiply that by 60%. So we have the asset test of $130,000, even though there's $750,000 in the account. That's going to give this couple $25,000 in today's dollars of extra age pension. And they didn't do anything different. The same contributions, same risk. They had the same access to cash all the way along. So if this strategy doesn't suit them at retirement, they're not locked in. But it does create a substantial upside just by taking advantage of this new legislation and some different thinking. I'll do a final case study which just wraps up again. This might be a bit, well, hopefully it's not bewildering, but this is just demonstrating if you used all the solutions through retirement, the sort of uplift you can get. So Alan and Rachel are 50, they've got $300,000, homeowners earning $100,000 each and contributing 12%. They want to retire at 67, don't want to rely only on the age pension, and they want to spend about $100,000 a year. So without any of these lifetime strategies, if they just use a standard super and an account-based pension as you'd expect, that's what we do every day of the week. The account-based pension runs out at age 90, and the first 3 years of retirement they get no age pension. That's just the base case. But with starting lifetime at 67, so not using the super, first of all, just starting at retirement and doing a 50-50 split between an account-based pension and a lifetime income account, for example. Well, the account-based pension runs out about the same age, but they get $24,000 extra age pension. That's a pretty good deal. I assume quite an easy advice conversation to have with your clients to say, hey, look, in the next 3 years, you're going to get an extra $24,000. But if they start at age 60, it gets more interesting. The account-based pension lasts an extra 8 years, and we've got $55,000 just in 3 years of age pension. Start at 50 with a lifetime super, and then all the way through, and the account-based pension lasts to 105. Now we're really pushing those live tables. And $95,000 of age pension just in the first 3 years. And the first question I always get is, yeah, my clients don't want to lock up capital and they want to make sure there's enough for the kids. Well, let's have a look at that. What do we leave to the kids? Let's assume, using life tables, that we've got a population of Alan and Rachel's and we're going to work out what's the average death benefit we're going to pay to the kids. We know that very few of them both of them are going to be dead at 70 or something. And so we've calculated the average. Effectively, if we just do the basic strategy, it's a bit worse on average than just having normal account-based pension and super. But these advanced strategies, starting earlier and earlier, can more than double the average estate value for your clients. If your clients say to you, hey, look, leaving money to the kids is important to me, I would argue that you're almost required to consider these sorts of strategies, at least become familiar with them and consider them as part of the portfolio. Very, very powerful strategies. Of course, I haven't spoken much about the longevity aspect here, but these are a lot of upfront benefits on Centrelink, but the peace of mind that, yes, if one of them does live to 100 or 105 or even 110 or even 120, there is the age pension plus a lifetime income stream, which is simply never going to run out, providing that peace of mind. And of course, you can utilise managed portfolios all the way through these solutions. You're not required to sell assets. And so you as advisors are in the driver's seat, much earlier for a retirement conversation, and then much later through retirement, being able to manage the portfolio and add value in the ways that you currently do. Thank you very much.